Let's go. We are on the draw for the final game, and this is finally a hand that I won't keep. 6 lands and a Ship's Embrace isn't what I'm looking for. So, first mulligan here. Bogbu Rage and Bubbling Cauldron is unfortunate. Active Treason and Bubbling Cauldron is really nice. And Barrage of Expendables with 2 Swamps is awkward. I'm not going to go down to 5. It's not the greatest hand, but a mountain certainly helps. We do have the Act of Treason, so we actually have some play here. Don't see a reason not to run these out, we kind of want them anyway. Could get semi-punished by drawing Academy Raiders, but I would still be happy about that. So now our opponent has to be afraid of us having Festering Newts when we play the Bogbu Ridge. It looks like our blue opponent is discarding, and I'm inclined to just not cast Bogbu Ridge then. It's very likely that our opponent kept a hand with Essence Scatter if he doesn't have a 2-drop. So if there's only a slight chance of another discard and Essence Scatter not countering Bogbu Ridge, I'm taking it. Here, Barrage of Expendables number 2 is basically a dead draw. I'm going to play the Bogbu Ridge. And now let's think. We can just kill the Condor now, or wait to see what happens. Like I said, our opponent doesn't know if we can fetch Newts with the Witch. So in a sense, he almost has to kill it if he can. Or disperse it or whatever. So I like the pressure it presents. And our opponent has two options. If he thinks we don't have a Festering Newt in our deck, he can just ignore the Witch. If he thinks that we have one or more, then that Newt is going to be absolutely amazing against him. So Claustrophobia is exactly what I wanted. It baffles me that we see this before attackers, because now I basically know that I won't be, well, the removal has been cast, so I can just kill the Trained Condor. We do have the Act of Treason, so there's actually no reason for me not to just use that right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it. Well, let's play Annoying Zombie then. Messenger Drake is great for us if we can. Oh wow, that's pretty good. It's a 4. It becomes a 4/4 if the opponent doesn't control a creature, but we can somehow never really get it with Act of Treason. That's a good draw. Do have to tap out of the 1 mana that we would like to keep up. So if there is a Chandra's Outrage in our opponent's hand, that is unfortunate. But I'm not holding back my Battle Sliver just to play around every possible spell. Okay, that's awesome for us. Especially because we have another Act of Treason. Okay, now the thing is, if we Act of Treason the Water Servant and attack with it and the Battle Sliver, then Haunted Plate Mail can trade for Battle Sliver, or it could block the Water Servant. And if it does, then we need to sacrifice another creature to kill a Plate Mail, which isn't exactly what we want to be doing. So in a sense, it could be better to let our opponent have the Water Servant for now, or just basically just get rid of it. Oh no, I think the best play is just to, yeah, that's much better. We just take the Servant and then we attack anyway, And if the plate mail decides to block the water servant, then we can still just sacrifice it. So really no harm done. Yeah, this is a reasonable block. So these are trading. And we have the choice to gain 4 or make our opponent lose 1 and gain 1 in the process. I'm choosing the gnawing zombie because we have the cauldron. So that just means it's less likely that our life total is going to be in danger. I think we can attack for 1 here. We can't block the Phantom Warrior anyway. So if the damage... if our opponent blocks, then we can just trade Gnawing Zombie for Phantom Warrior. If we want that. I think we might. Yeah, I think taking the least amount of damage here is very reasonable. Don't like playing the last swamp. Kind of the worst card we can have. Another Train Condor is also pretty nice. It does mean that the next creature our opponent plays, we can Active Treason and use Barrage of Expendables for the 2-for-1. Chandra Pyromancer is also pretty sweet. If we ever draw that mountain. Oh, we actually do need the mountain anyway to Active Treason plus Barrage. Still hoping for it for a Messenger Drake. Okay, here we go. So Chandra can +1 this. Active Treason, we just deal with both. Yeah, I want Chandra in play. There's a small chance that it just gets killed. But if I use my Active Treason on the creatures that I really have no trouble with, then I might not have... Well, I might be missing the Active Treason for something where it's more relevant. So this is able to deal 1 to a player and 1 to a creature. Then that creature can't block. And I can exile the top card of my library and play it, or I can exile the top 10 and then I get an instant or sorcery copied 3 times. I don't think that I want to use that in limited all too often. But I could see just gaining the value. Oh, Armored Cancrix. Sweet. So let's see. If I use Active Treason on the Cancrix, then my Chandra lives longer, and I deal with both of my opponent's creatures. That might just be worth it, because if I Chandra the Condor, I have nothing to stand in the way of the Cancrix, so I would just lose loyalty counters, and I don't think that I want to have that happen. So let's see what we have here. Academy Raider. Yeah, now that's interesting, because I can only play it this turn, and I'm missing a mountain. So yeah, I think I have to play it, but not in the way that I would like to use it, but rather just that I cast it and then block. Oh, I won't be able to block the Cancrix. That's right. Yeah, this isn't optimal, but I'm limited on the amount of red mana I have. So in the end, maybe it would have been better to +1 the Chandra. I think I'm still just going to barrage the Condor now, which makes it look like a bad play because Chandra would have just killed it. So, but I don't want to just waste Active Treason on an Armored Cancrix. That's just horrible. could also just keep the Raiders alive, but that would mean losing the Chandra. And something tells me that that can't be right either. The card advantage provided by Chandra should at least compete with the Academy Raiders, I feel like. Yeah, somehow the decision to zero the Chandra didn't really work out that well. I probably should have just +1 and killed the Condor. Okay, our opponent has the only trained Condor deck. Counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He's cast 4 and he's only has only seen half his deck. But I'm not complaining because our deck is quite good against trained Condors. Yeah, it's correct to block here, let the damage resolve, and then take 1 from the barrage. Oh, let's see, we could also just gain 4. Yeah, at this stage, it's unclear how things are going to progress. So gaining 4 just to be on the safe side can't be too bad. Shift's Embrace. Interesting. Probably not the best card against blue-red. Do we see a Sea Kite here? No, it's Opportunity. Nice card. That's a card I'm willing to outrage, but I want to see what I draw first. With that much mana, there's almost no draw step that really punishes me for waiting here. And I'm going to try to outrage now. I get punished by negate, but I would have gotten punished by that anyway. But I'm playing around cancel. And of course I don't want my opponent to draw into more cards before I cast my instant. Chaomancer targeting Opportunity. Yep. That's a pretty powerful late game, and we haven't drawn our Tenacious Dead to compete with that. Let's play a 4-1 then. Don't think I'm Shift's Embracing this turn, but I might next turn, depending on what we draw. Even with Opportunity, we aren't really losing the race. Our opponent is going to go down in cards in his library also, but he might just overwhelm us. And he probably has an answer to a Shift's Embraced Firecat as well. If we draw a Tenacious Dead, I don't see us losing. Opponent is on 9 mana, so 6 of that is going to be for Opportunity, which he could cast in response here. If he has a Shock, then I'm getting 2 for 1. And Outrage is a little bit worse even. But don't think I can do much about it, and I want to use my Shift's Embrace at some point. So far, haven't seen the Tenacious Dead. If our opponent has a hard counter for it, then we might be in trouble. Also, if a card like Marauding Maulhorn shows up and we somehow don't draw anything, although we still have the Molten Birth, which could also do quite a lot of work. Okay. So we're taking 5. Opponent is presenting a 4-turn clock with 6 cards in his library. Definitely need to draw something quickly. And opponent is going to have something. I mean, we have to be realistic here. Let's see, this is actually a point where it's interesting to count our opponent's cards. He has 14 spells in his graveyard. And 7, 4. He has 11 lands in play, so 6 of his remaining cards are lands. It's not unreasonable to think that a large portion of his hand is lands. Potentially 3, maybe even 4. So if we draw anything here, it's still very, very good, and we might even have another turn to do so. Altar's Reap. That's the worst possible card we could draw. Let's hope we aren't dead here. If our opponent has Volcanic Geyser, then I think we are just getting burned out. Goblin Shortcutter is fine. That's not a Tenacious Dead. No, we just die here. Unfortunate. But had we known that we would be facing 8 additional cards from our opponent's side of the board, I think we probably could have played a little bit differently. So let's see, Wild Guess is an option. Ring Flash is certainly good. Don't really like Corrupt. Opponent won because he got to opportunity. That was basically all she wrote. Firecats don't seem amazing, but he does have the plate mail, so I think I want that. Academy Raiders is very bad against the plate mail, but almost all his creatures have been blue, so the Raiders aren't getting cut, I think. Shift's Embrace is the worst card in this matchup. I want Ring Flash instead to stay alive a little bit longer. Well Rebirth is also pretty bad. Maybe Dragon Hatchling is a card that we want. It does block his flyers also, and it's a creature. Alternatively, we could go for more Altar's Reaps or Wild Guesses, just to make sure that we draw into our good cards. But I don't think that we lost because we didn't draw good cards, but Tenacious Dead was at the bottom of our deck. We somehow managed to lose our Chandra to a combination of things happening, and then our opponent also had the opportunity to get that far ahead. So overall, I still think that we have a pretty good shot at winning this matchup. And I think we should play first. It's reasonably close, but I think playing first is better. Okay, so I don't know if you had this in the previous game, but it certainly means that it's not possible to win by decking. We also haven't seen any cheap counter spells, so I'm going to be much less scared of that this game. Also, Chandra's Outrage, but no Shock, so that's important. Maybe I shouldn't have played the second mountain to not give my opponent the information that there might be a Marauding Maulhorn coming his way. Yeah, opponent doesn't block here. He takes additional damage, but could just drop multiple flyers this turn. We are looking at a very good hand though. If we draw anything but Liturgy of Blood, we have a play next turn, because it's either a land or something that we can cast for 4 or less. Okay, Barkpool Ridge once again. Pretty bad draw, but what can you do? Barrage of Expendables is quite nice because we definitely want to sacrifice the Maulhorn. The question is, do we trade Warden and Firecat here? I'm not too keen on sacrificing 2 creatures to kill it, so I think I'm just offering the trade. Given that our opponent held back with it, means that he should be blocking. But I think that trade is fair, looking at our hand. And even though Bog Brewerage doesn't do much on this board, I don't see us needing Barrage of Expendables in play rather than a 1/3. And once again, it is threatening to search for the nudes that our opponent doesn't know we don't have. Although we haven't shown him any in game 1, even though we do 30 cards. Academy Raider is kind of awkward against Haunted Plate Mail, but I think we just drop our cards and see what happens. It's kind of funny because with the Plate Mail, your opponent is in somewhat of an awkward spot. Like the thing you want to do is just animate it and attack for 4 and then play something else, because if you don't play anything, then you have a 4/4 in defense, but you aren't advancing your board. It's also possible that our opponent is just looking at a hand full of trained condors, and of course those wouldn't be great either. We aren't drawing lands, but as I said, I mean, we have stuff to play, so I'm not going to complain about that. And we won the flip even, so that was a free Molten Rebirth for us. Molten Birth, actually. No opportunity, no Nephalia Sea Kite on our opponent's side of the board. Could be interesting. Might just be looking at a rather weak board on his side. There's the Act of Treason, so now if the Haunted Plate Mail blocks something, we can Act of Treason it and then kill it, but I think there's actually no reason to rush things here. And we win the flip again. So while we are advancing our board, our opponent is drawing 1 card each turn, and it could always be an opportunity, drawing him 4 additional cards and then just changing the rules completely. But if he drops something like an Armored Cankrix here, then his Haunted Plate Mail is offline, so he hasn't really gotten much out of this turn then. Quite an interesting play, because it doesn't look too great to me. I like the Chandra we drew here. Going to just use it as a way to deal more damage, or not. Let's see, with the Raiders, we definitely want to attack because it's just 1 damage. Could deal an extra 4 by sacrificing an elemental. Bring our opponent down to 11 with these cards in hand. Yeah, I kind of like that. I don't want to give my opponent too much time. So the thing is, I don't think I want to discard anything. Molten Birth is too good with Bubbling Cauldron and Barrage of Expendables. And Act of Treason, well, just deals with any large creature he could drop, even a Water Servant or something like that. Like I said, it's more likely that we're looking at a hand of Trained Condors, but we'll just not know that because it's unlikely that our opponent is going to cast them. Haunted Plate Mail doesn't give Vigilance. Okay, so opponent's actually getting in for 6 here. I mean, it's almost impossible to race us. I don't understand this play. Opponent could have could have equipped the Condor with the plate mail because we tapped out of red mana, but chose to deal some amount of damage here, which won't really matter. The thing is that we do have to use a red for the barrage, which isn't what we want to be doing, so maybe we just take the Cancrix here, deal an insane amount of damage, kind of like that. Oh, I think it's also lethal, so I like it even more. Yeah, this was an attack for 11 and our opponent didn't have the mana for the elixir. Okay, a negate is nothing to worry about. We did run the Chandra into there kind of carelessly, and our opponent probably would have countered Molten Birth as well. But we were pretty far ahead that game anyway, and Chandra wasn't crucial to our plans. Let's see. Yeah, there's still nothing to board really. There's a Demolish, which I guess we could use to kill the plate mail, but I like it less than most of the cards in our deck. Maybe Undead Minotaur isn't all that amazing. It's really there to block ground creatures, which is completely irrelevant against his deck. It does stop the Cancrix, but the Cancrix is so bad we should be able to beat that. Well, let's just try a Demolish, who knows. Could actually have taken out one more Swamp, now that I think about it. Okay, opponent keeps on the play. We do have our 2 5-drops again, but with 3 lands, a 3-drop and a 4-drop, I don't see us get screwed, as long as we draw a mountain rather than only swamps. But even if we draw 2 swamps, then we have a 3-drop and 2 5-drops, so don't think you can ever mulligan that. We didn't draw any of our barrages so far, so a quick Condor start is something to worry about. But it's good that we boarded in the Hatchling to hedge against that. It's kind of unfortunate that we are actually... Oh yeah, that's good. That's really good. I'm just going to play the Firecat, and this time I did not show my opponent that I have a second red. So it's possible that he just taps out for something here and then Chandra just kills him. And now even if he had the negate, he can't really just hold up negate, of course. I think that this game is quite a blowout. Opponent is just on islands, and he missed the land drop, I think. Yeah, he was on the play and didn't drop a 3rd land. So now the Firecat is live. Best card our opponent could have is probably Nephalia Sea Kite. So I'm not attacking with the Hatchling here. But I'm just going to continue with the pressure. It's debatable whether Battleslave or Pitchburn Devils is better. But I like the fact that with Altar's Weave and Bubbling Cauldron we can actually get a Lightning Bolt out of the Devils if we want, and that is actually lethal. So it might even be better than having a 5-power creature. Although that's a very minor thing. We're actually just threatening lethal here. With Chandra dealing 1 and making any blockers irrelevant. That's 1, 4, 8, 10 with the 2 mountains we have. So most of our opponent's plays are just not going to be sufficient. Yeah, that was somewhat anticlimactic, but still happy that our first try at the Black-Red Sacrifice deck was so successful, and yeah, Chandra certainly did her part, but I wouldn't say that she was oppressive or dominated everything else that we were doing. Tenacious Dead, Barrage of Expendables, Bog Brewage and Bubbling Cauldron, 2 Active Treasons and Young Pyromancer, a little bit of removal, some creatures to fill out the curve, and that was about it. So yeah, that's quite the nice start to a new course set format. And I'm going to be recording one more video after that, which is basically a short discussion of what we saw during the draft and during the matches. I'm going to keep it really short and just try to pinpoint some of the key decision points, which is kind of, well, it's similar to the strategic opening discussions I did earlier, or the slideshows I had for M13 with the more, well, basic strategic concepts, but I'm just basically trying out new stuff. So please do me a favor and watch the last video as well, if you would. Thank you.